He only brushed the handlebar, a light graze as he passed the row of parked motorcycles. But the biker didn't see an accident. He saw an elderly man in a worn coat and decided that was reason enough to strike. A sharp crack rang out, and an 82-year-old veteran crumpled to the ground, his hand still clutching the bread he'd just purchased. The bar crowd gaped, phones stayed silent in pockets, and not a single person stepped forward. Yet 30 minutes later, the quiet shattered. The sky thrummed with the beat of rotors as a Black Hawk helicopter descended onto Oak Avenue. Soldiers in tactical gear poured out like a gathering storm. Because this wasn't just any old man. He was someone's father, and someone's unit had been watching. Most people overlooked Henry Carter, a stooped figure in scuffed shoes shuffling past the Rusty Anchor pub every Friday for the last decade. At 82, a retired Navy engineer with 4 tours, 1 commendation, and a body that no longer cooperated, he asked for nothing, no honors, no pity. Just a warm coffee at the cafe and a slow walk home with his cane. That morning was unusually chilly. Henry wore his faded Navy jacket from 1985, the sleeves mended, the name patch once reading H.C. Carter barely visible. He stepped out of the local bakery, a small bag under his arm holding bread, mints, and a letter for his granddaughter at college. Across the street, a group of bikers lounged outside the pub, their laughter booming, their bikes gleaming like trophies. Henry paid them no heed. He'd faced louder threats where silence meant survival. As he passed, his coat snagged a handlebar, barely rocking the bike. He stopped at once, turned, hands raised. "Didn't mean to, son. My coat's bulkier than I thought," he said with a gentle, apologetic smile. He meant no harm, just an old man's mistake. But the largest biker strode forward, sunglasses flashing in the afternoon light. Without a word, he struck Henry across the face. The sound bounced off the brick walls. Henry hit the pavement with a soft thud, one hand still gripping the tearing bag as bread scattered into the gutter. The bar's laughter didn't falter. No one moved. Someone sipped a beer and turned away. Henry didn't cry out. He sat up slowly, knee shaking, face flushed more with shame than pain, and began gathering the bread from the street. His cheek stung, but he ignored it, carefully placing the dirt-streaked loaf back into the bag. People kept walking. A pair crossed the street to avoid the scene. A barista glanced out the cafe window, then turned back. The biker rejoined his friends, laughing, certain no one would challenge him over an old man in a faded coat. Henry rose slowly, clutching a lamppost for support. He sank onto the bus bench, exhaling shakily, the cold air sharp in his lungs. His hearing aid hummed faintly, his pride louder still. Back in 1972, he'd repaired a sinking ship under fire off the coast of Da Nang. Now, in 2025, he couldn't even get a passerby to offer a napkin for the blood on his lip. A teen with earbuds walked by. Henry raised a hand slightly, but the boy didn't notice, or chose not to. Inside the pub, the biker lit a cigarette, boasting, "He should have watched himself. Old geezer walked right into it." Henry's jaw tightened. He'd been called soldier, husband, grandfather, chief, but never worthless. Still, he said nothing, wiped his lip with his sleeve, and reached into his pocket. Inside was a battered phone with one contact. Anchor 9, emergency only. He pressed it and waited. 15 minutes passed. Henry sat still, not angry, not afraid, just upright, as if awaiting a call only he could hear. Then came the low rumble, a vibration in the ground. Diners looked up. A man stepped out of the pub, squinting. The sound grew, a deep, rhythmic pulse rattling windows. "That's no truck," the bartender muttered. From beyond the trees, a Black Hawk helicopter emerged, low and swift, heading for downtown. Phones emerged, shoppers froze, dogs barked. Within a minute, the helicopter landed in a vacant lot behind the shops. A black SUV roared up, doors flying open. Boots hit the pavement, silent, precise. A dozen figures in tactical gear scanned the area, movements honed by years of practice. One man stepped forward from the helicopter. No sunglasses, no bravado, just authority in his stance. Mid-40s, broad-shouldered, eyes like iron, he approached the bench. Henry looked up, nodded once. The man knelt. "Dad?" he said softly, wiping the dried blood from Henry's cheek. "I got here as fast as I could." Henry didn't reply. He didn't need to. The biker, still smug among his friends, turned and froze, seeing the patch on the leader's shoulder. U.S. Navy SEAL Commander Carter. He'd struck the wrong man. The street fell silent. The biker's leather creaked as he tensed, his smirk fading. Commander Carter rose, hands steady, no weapon drawn, no fist raised, just a presence that straightened spines. His team formed a semicircle, blocking the block without a word. Inside the pub, music stopped. A waitress ducked behind the bar. The biker stepped back as Carter advanced, voice low but firm. "Which of you struck a veteran?" No one answered at first. Then the biker stepped forward, arms half raised. It was 2 minutes later, a police car arrived, sirens off, lights dim. The officers, unusually alert, approached. Carter pointed. The biker was cuffed, not in anger, but in quiet resolve. He didn't resist. His bravado dissolved. As he was led away, the crowd emerged, spellbroken. Henry sat, hands on his cane, unreadable. Carter crouched again. "You okay?" Henry nodded, managing a faint smile. "I've had worse, but not with so many doing nothing." A woman with silver hair stepped forward, offering a handkerchief. "I should have spoken up. I'm sorry." Henry took it gently, and it began. A young man removed his cap. A father lifted his child, whispering. A boy saluted awkwardly. The crowd transformed, phones lowered, hands extended, not for show, but for respect, long overdue. Veterans lined up, retired Marine, former Coast Guard, shoulder to shoulder. Carter stepped back, letting it happen. Henry sat taller, not from pride but relief, as if a burden lifted. This was more than a slap. It was every time he'd been ignored, now seen. By evening, the video spread online, raw, unedited. Respect, the elder Henry Carter. Quiet strength. News stations picked it up, telling his story. Chief Engineer Henry Carter, Vietnam, Persian Gulf, 1 commendation, 1 Purple Heart, once invisible. The pub issued a weak apology, but the memory of laughter lingered. The mayor called Carter, proposing a tribute. "Only if it's for him, not the press," Carter said. A week later, the town square hosted a ceremony, chairs, a school choir, Henry in a wheelchair, pushed by choice. The crowd rose, not out of duty but recognition. The mayor spoke, but Carter's words lingered. "My father's life spoke louder than fists. Now the world knows." Henry raised a hand, firm, deliberate. The applause lasted 4 minutes, for every unseen service. A letter arrived days later, shaky, no return address. "If you'll meet me, I'll listen," from the biker. Henry hesitated, but arranged a meeting. In a quiet room, the man, now in a plain shirt, hands clenched, muttered, "I didn't know who you were." "You didn't care," Henry replied softly. The biker, named Jake, explained his father's war trauma. Henry nodded, offering silence. Jake slid over a form. Therapy, VA, volunteering. Henry placed a hand on his. "It'll take time, but show up every day." That meeting changed them both. 6 months later, Oak Avenue bore a plaque. In honor of Chief Henry Carter, a quiet shield. Below, he never asked to be seen, he simply stood. People paused. Students left flowers, an artist added his silhouette to a mural. The park became Carter Field. Henry still walked Fridays, someone always waving. A teen, a recruit, a father pointing him out. Jake drove vets to